Men are not selecting.
All right, guys, welcome to the live stream. I know it's in the middle of the night. This is the only time I had, so I'm just taking it upon myself to create some other content, something I was going to do a video on anyway. And yeah, I got a few videos coming down the pipeline, guys. A couple live streams down the pipeline. I got some Marcellus Wallace stuff to talk about, and how that's going to be a doozy. But I got this video here, which is about Tracee Ellis Ross. Okay. And if you guys don't know who she is, she used to be, and well, I guess she's still an actor. I guess once an actor, always an actor, but I don't know what she's done lately. Haven't seen her anything, hadn't heard too much. But she used to be in a show called Girlfriends back in the day. And little information on her, she is 53 years old, never been married, and has no kids. So just keep that in mind when watching this video, and we're going to definitely break some of this stuff down and talk about it. But let's check it out. This one is basically her admitting that Kevin Samuels was right. So let's take a look and see what this is about.
Are not selecting Tracee Ellis Ross's.
My life is wonderful, and it does, and I experience loneliness and all of it, and I want a partner, and I might not find one. Well, I don't know.
Let's imagine the man that Tracee Ellis Ross would get. Chances are he would be younger.
A lot of men my age are steeped in a toxic masculinity and have been raised in a culture where there is a particular way that a relationship looks.
Can you imagine a woman like Tracee Ellis Ross with a 58-year-old CEO of a Fortune 50 company, an accomplishment? No, they needed a completely different woman.
You know, and I'm not going to make that mean something about me.
Riva TV. What's up, guys? It's your girl Riva, and I'm back again with another video. Tracee Ellis Ross is going viral all over again in regards to her singledom. Okay, as we know, she has somehow become the spokesperson of being, unmarried and having no children and being like, a boss chick in the limelight.
Let me just say this, man. I cover a lot of these type of videos, and a lot of my topics are about a lot of this stuff, guys. And I just got to be honest here. Looking at this photo, okay, like I said, 53 years old, and this was probably before she was 53. Okay, the wall is there. Okay, she's already hit the wall. And let's just be honest with each other. Let's just be honest. The probability of a woman like this getting married and definitely having kids are pretty much out of the window. Okay, is it possible for her to at least get married? I'm sure it is. I mean, there's, yeah, if there's, if you got a 4-leaf clover in your back pocket somewhere, maybe if you wished upon a star and it actually came true, probably you might have a good chance of being somebody's wife. But I don't think it's going to happen, guys. Law of averages is saying it's not. And when we hear her talk, because I've heard stuff about her in the past, she's had, controversy in the past with some of the things she said and about relationships and things of that nature, guys. What a lot of women her age do, and a lot of women, period, in general, who are single will do is they will cope, right? They have a coping mechanism, what they will do. And what that entails is them saying that they embrace a certain lifestyle, which is a single lifestyle. And they try to make that a selling point to other women, right? And it's a lot of trauma bonding going on, because you have a lot of women who are single and act as if they don't know why they're single, and they trauma bond. And what they do is they support each other when they should be really being honest with each other and saying, look here, look at yourself in the mirror, ask yourself some questions. Why am I not married? Why haven't I been married? Why am I single? Why aren't men looking for me? Why aren't men checking for me? And women don't ask themselves this, guys. Instead, what do? They blame other men. They blame men for their past discretions. They blame men for everything that went wrong in their life, like they had no choice in the matter. And I get tired of watching that. I get tired of hearing women take no accountability for their own actions, guys. If you have 2 or 3 baby daddies, you should have learned your lesson on the first one, but yet you still have another one or a third. But you want to say that all men are trash and men are no good, right? But you keep picking the same guy over and over and over again. It makes no sense. Like I said, lack of accountability. But let's check out what she has to say, because I'm very interested to find out what this is.
And so she sat down and she did an interview. And interestingly enough, a lot of her comments that she said in the interview actually ring true to a lot of the comments that Kevin Samuels had about Tracee Ellis Ross in the past.
Men are not selecting Tracee Ellis Rosses.
So we're going to go ahead and dive into the conversation. Of course, if you guys are unaware of who Tracee Ellis Ross is, she is, the daughter of the legendary singer Diana Ross, as well as an actress. She starred on a TV show called Girlfriends that had numerous seasons, right? And she was known for her role on that TV show. And obviously she's had other roles. She's been on Blackish. She has, a hair care line, all of the things, right? So for this conversation in particular, she sat down with Trevor Noah. They discussed so many different things, but of course, if you're sitting down and you're talking to Tracee, somehow relationship status and all of that is going to come into the conversation. So we're going to go ahead and just dive right into it. I'm going to press play, pause, play, then give you guys my thoughts, my feelings, and my opinion on this entire situation.
I love being silly. I love, you know what I mean? Like I always say to people, like when it comes to dating, one of the things I'm like, you can't think that I'm going to be the prize on your arm and be that thing where in my life I get to fly like an eagle every day.
So obviously, this is how the conversation started off in regards to dating. She talked about how, she's so much, right? She's silly. She's this, she's that. She's, this humongous personality. And, she doesn't see how she should have to change that, right? To fit into the mold, to create this balance, to be in a relationship when she can just be single and free and lively and, go about as she wants to and as she pleases, and not be boxed into this space.
And be as big as I want to be, and as small as I want to be, and as sexy as I want to be, and as like to do all this. And then I'm going to cook it, like, and don't get me wrong, like I'm a caretaker and I'm going to cook for you and all those kinds of things, but not because you expect it, not because you want it.
What? You see what I'm saying? This is where we have come as a society. Okay, guys, this is where the culture is. Okay, as women out here today, this is what men are dealing with every single day. That's why they're not getting checked on, guys. That's why there's nobody going to dating events. There's no men showing up. That's why men are not responding to women anymore. There are women who are out here making videos on TikTok, on Instagram, wherever, complaining that men are not coming up to them, saying anything to them. Why do you think that is? Like, I'm serious. If you're a female watching this right now, why do you think that is? Do you think that just happened for no reason? That men aren't, checking for women, aren't hitting on women? Do you think that just came out of nowhere? No. It's the culture, guys. Women look up to these prophets, these people out here, these sexy reds, these Cardi B's, these women out here who look at how they're living. Look at the lifestyle that a lot of these women are living, guys. A lot of these women are jumping on these platforms talking about, oh, if you're not going to pay my gas, put gas in my tank, if you're not going to, put $100, $200 in my Cash App, then we have no reason to talk. What kind of shit is that? Are you serious? And half the problem are the simps who actually partake in those activities. Okay? Because I'm not going to take it easy on the simps, because there's a lot of dudes out here with long ass capes on doing this type of shit. Okay? And it makes it bad for the other guys who are out here just trying to, do their thing. But I'd be damned, okay, if I'm giving anybody 50 cents, let alone $200 before I can take a chick out on a date. You got me fucked up. And bro, I'm telling you, it's cooked out here. Okay. If you ask a woman out on a date, and if you ask her to take a walk in the park, go have a coffee, if she tells you no, drop that hoe right then and there. Drop her right then and there and keep walking. Moving to the next one. That's the easiest thing I tell most men. If they have a question about a woman and they want to know, hey, should I continue? What should I do when it comes to, to asking a woman out on a date? If it's about money off top, bro, leave her alone. She's not for you, because it's only a ticking time bomb after that. It's only a matter of time. If you enter the relationship or a date with a transaction already off top, it's not going to work, man. I'm telling you right now, because if a woman really fucks with you, I'm going to tell you right now from experience, She's going to fuck with you no matter what. You could have $2 to your name. And if she wants you, she wants you. There's no, I don't care what nobody else says, but what if this, what if that? No, it's none of that. If she fucks with you, she fucks with you, period. They will tell you and show you exactly what they want. That's one thing you can always get out of a woman. Now, if she's asking for money or she's asking for certain things, materialistic things off rip, then that's transactional. And that means that she's only messing with you for those things. And I always tell guys this too. Guys with bread, with lots of money, who get women because they have lots of money, that's only borrowed time. They only have that woman for a short period of time. Eventually, that woman is going to become complacent and she's going to go out and reach out for things she actually wants, her actual desires, okay? Because you can only do that for so long. That's why you see all of these women cheating and, doing strange things to these men with money. They have everything. They claim that they want this, they want this, they want the house, the car, all of this shit. And then when they get it, guess what? What now? I'm telling you guys, you can't make this shit up.
It's interesting, right? Because now she's saying like, I will do the things. I will do the nurturing things, the domestic things, but not because that person wants me to, not because a man who's in a relationship with me should be benefiting from any of the things of actually being in a relationship with me. It will just be if the wind blows right one day and I just feel like doing it. And it's so interesting because a lot of women have this narrative of, I don't need to change. I don't need to bend. I don't need to balance things out. I don't need to be moldable or bendable. I can come at full capacity and he should be the only one that's willing to bend and change because I'm not going to do it.
Because that's part of who you are.
You're not going to put me in a box and just be a little thing over here. Like I'm a full planet.
Does that make dating hard?
You're a solar
I
system.
don't know. Yeah, I'm a solar system.
Yeah, I don't think you're a planet.
I think I'm a solar system.
Yeah.
And see, I hate when, this is the shit I hate. I hate the politics, the politicking in these things, guys, these interviews and stuff like that. A lot of these men who are interviewing like women like this, right? They're not going to tell them to their face like the truth. They're not going to tell them what they're really thinking. Like, bitch, are you crazy? They're not going to say that because they want her on their show. Right? This is a guest. They're going to, they're going to play the game, so to speak. But a lot of these men are holding back on how they really feel, and they're not going to keep it real. And that's the part I hate. If more men would keep it real with these women, especially women, quote unquote, talking to men on their level, so to speak, like the Trevor Noahs and these guys right here. If Trevor Noah told her, look, man, I think, I don't agree with that, and here's why, at least gave his true opinion on some of this stuff, man, this would nip a lot of this shit in the butt, honestly. But this is why she's going to remain single for the rest of her life. This is why she's going to die alone with a bunch of cats and dogs or whatever, if she has pets. This is exactly why these women are doing this, guys. All the women in my life, I have 3 sisters, highly educated, all graduated from TCU. Okay, one of them went to NYU after that. Okay, none of them have a significant other. None of them have a relationship, right? There's a reason behind that. My mother died alone. Okay, my wife's mother is going to die alone. She has nobody and hasn't had anybody for years. Why is this happening? Now, my father remarried and is still currently married right now happily. All right, my wife's father, before he passed, he remarried and he was happily married until his demise. Why is this happening? Why do you think this is?
And I don't know that it makes dating hard.
I think the thought process in itself of you saying that you're the whole solar system is absolutely what makes dating hard for you. Because if dating was not hard for Tracee Ellis Ross, she would have a husband.
Facts.
Okay? At the very least, she would have a relationship. And she has neither. Okay?
Facts.
So obviously, the dating space for her is not as easy as she's trying to make it seem, or that she's not having any difficulty. Clearly, she is. And again, this is the problem with a lot of women where, they amass success in all of these different areas and they feel like because there's other people fanning their flame or, igniting the fluff for them, that means that they're perfect in all aspects. Just because you might be a great actress, just because you might be a great businesswoman does not mean that you would be great in a relationship.
I don't know. I mean, I've dated younger guys and that's been interesting. And then sometimes it's not, it's individual. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's always individual.
Men my age often, I don't know. I think it's individual. Every guy is different.
So at what point, if you've dated a age range of men, if you dated men your age, men younger, different types of men, different backgrounds, whatever the case is, at what point do you sit with yourself and say, maybe it's something I need to work on within myself? Because right now, what I see, a lot of the conversations that these women have, who, again, it kind of translates into coping instead of, you're not really, being able to pick, choose, and refuse, is the fact that they really do feel like they don't need to change anything, solve anything, and at the very least, they don't even need to, be reflective and figure out if it's maybe even just their choosing.
Guys, this will always amaze me when it comes to women. Always. It's like they're so oblivious, like they don't see it. Like they don't see their own faults. They refuse to believe that they have a part in whatever happens to them, right? It's like they're oblivious to it. I don't understand. It's almost like genetic almost, right? And I'm married, right? I've been married. My wife has some of the same traits as a lot of these women do, but not to the point where she was unmarriable, right? When I met my wife, I kept it real. I told her everything up front. I said, look, these are the things that I like. This is what I like to do. This is how I am. I drew my line in the sand right there. Okay. Put it all on the table right there. And like I said before earlier in the video, if a woman likes you and really fucks with you, she will do it. Period. If you tell her everything, okay, here's everything. I'm keeping it real. This is all me right here. You can either get with that or not. And she did. And that's why she became my wife. And that's why we're still married today. That is exactly why. And that's what, when men are out here looking for wives, you have to keep it real. You have to put it all on the line, and you have to look for those signs immediately off top, because most of us know when we have an instinct, we know usually it's the correct instinct, right? If we're like, ooh, I don't feel that way about her, or she's giving me a type of vibe, you're probably right. And she's probably not the one for you guys, right? Because most men know if a girl is really fucking with them. If you get sick, how does she act? Does she try to, bring you stuff? Just the little things here and there that they do, right? And if money never comes up and she just wants to be a part of your life, she just wants to be in your circle, right? She just wants to be close to you. Like, these simple things right here are stuff that men need to look for. And these are the true fire signs that this might be the one you might want to consider for a long-term relationship or possibly a wife. If they're not doing none of that shit, guys, or if they're bitching and moaning within the first, month or two in your relationship, always picking at you or always talking about some crazy shit, bro, she don't like you like that. She don't like you like that. And it's women like Tracee Ellis Ross right here, who's 53 years old and who's going to die alone because she can't fix her ways. She refuses to meet anybody in the middle. And that's what it is. Every now and then she'll get cracked by somebody, and that's going to be her life, man, until she hits that wall super hard. Right now, she's slapping against the wall. I mean, you can look at the neck right now. Look at you can tell she's aging. But in another 5 years, it's over. Game over. You know what I mean? And then there's not going to be anybody out here messing with her, period. Okay? She already can't have any kids. So that's a wrap. If you want to date her, you might as well throw that out the window if you want kids. And let's just keep it real. So that's what I'm saying. She did that to herself. She did that to herself because of the way she is. She thinks because she's been in the limelight. A lot of these women think that because they're successful. Guys, most men don't care about that shit. We don't care how much money you have, okay? We don't care about your status. Most men are looking for a wife, okay? Somebody they can spend their time with, somebody who's going to, be their friend as well, right? And accept them for who they are and let them be them, right? And not bitch and moan about every little thing. My wife understands that about me. She knows there's certain shit that I like, and she leaves me alone and lets me do my thing. She lets me breathe, right? She doesn't bother me, right? These are things that a good woman will do. And they're simple things. We're not asking for, anything complicated. We're very simple. Most of us are very simple creatures, guys. We want our food. If we're a gamer or whatever we like to do, we want to be left to our own devices and not be bothered, guys. Simple shit. And, of course, ass when we need it, right? Sex when we need it, intimacy when we need it, right? The simple, I just named 3 things right there. Simple. And women of today act like they can't give us none of that shit, right? There's a lot of them. It's frustrating because I have a 13-year-old son and I have a 6-year-old daughter, and, I'm stressing out, but at the same time, I'm not going to let this shit consume her or him, right? I worry about my son and his dating and the women he's going to be, talking to out here, because the culture is raising a lot of these women out here, guys. That's just the honest to God truth. They're being raised by Cardi B and fucking Sexy Red and all this other shit, and the Tracee Ellis Rosses of the world. This is who they're looking at. But then also as a man and who has a daughter, right, I feel it's my obligation to teach her certain things. Like one thing, I had a conversation with her, even though she's real small still, she just turned 6, but I tell her this even now today. When you are out and you're in public or you're doing whatever you're doing, if a boy comes up to you and he wants to talk to you because he quote unquote likes you, right, there's a way. If you don't want to talk to him or if you're not interested, there's a way you do it. You don't clown him. You don't insult him. You don't put him down, right? You don't disrespect him. If you don't like this boy, no matter what's going on in the situation, there's a way you tell him no. There's a respectable way you do it. Okay. And these are simple things that girls do not do. They go out of their way in today's society, guys, to make a spectacle of telling a guy no or shitting on him. Right. It's almost like if they don't do it that way, then they're not doing something right because something they saw or somebody they're following. And that is the fucking culture of today. And that'll get you hurt out here too. That's another thing. My son had got into it today at school, right? Where he was messing with one of his friend's friends, and his friend, the guy had a hood on, right? And my son pulled off his hood. They were messing with him. My son pulled his hood down, and then the kid took a sharpened pencil and stuck my son with it. And so the school, got a hold of it. There was a big fiasco going on. And then, they called us, of course. And when I got the news, I talked to my son and I told him, look, man, you can't control what people out there, how people react to you, right? When you leave this house, you need to respect everybody, because whoever's hood you pulled over that kid's head or whatever, he might have had a bad day, bad week, whatever. And you're lucky it was just that. It could have been a knife. It could have been a number of different things. Keep your hands to yourself and move accordingly. That's how you're supposed to move, right? And I had to have a conversation with him. It's just, you got to be careful out here, because it's dudes out here clapping women, you know what I'm saying, because of the way they're coming at them. And I've seen videos, man. I've seen videos of a guy simply trying to get to know a woman. She's around her friends, or sometimes she's by herself, or she's talking on the phone, and she goes out of her way to insult this man, to put him down and look him up and down like he ain't nothing, right? And you wonder why a lot of these women are, getting dealt with or getting handled out here in these streets. Okay, because it's a certain decorum you need to have out here. You do, but a lot of women don't.
They take no fault for anything or the wrongs that's going on in their dating lives, but then they act like, it has to be because of the other people out there.
I will tell you.
Finish your sentence first.
No.
Men your age?
No, I'm not doing it. I'm not going to do it.
The comments that she said about men her age, she doesn't need to re-talk about, because when she sat down with Michelle Obama, she talked about them, right?
A lot of men my age are steeped in a toxic masculinity and have been raised in a culture where there is a particular way that a relationship looks.
I think the real reality is that men her age are probably not going for women their age. Right? The men who are established, the men who are high earning. And it's so crazy, because while this clip was, going around, it immediately made me think of the conversation that Kevin Samuels had about the reason why she would eventually in the future have to date younger.
Men are not selecting Tracee Ellis Ross's. Not for marriage. She can still get it. There are a lot of guys who would slay that easy. Would have no problem even being seen with her in public. But would a man that she wants do it? Let's say, imagine the man that Tracee Ellis Ross would get. Chances are he would be younger, maybe some up and coming young actor. Can you imagine a woman like Tracee Ellis Ross with a 58-year-old CEO of a Fortune 50 company, an accomplishment? No, they needed a completely different woman.
So while, again, it's this very, fluff, inflated ego kind of like, I can pick, choose, and refuse, and I'm a solar system, and I'm all of these things, you have these men out there who we see, okay? There's still men out there. There's still people getting married. There's still, all kinds of things going on. You see that although there is a range of great men, great, interesting people that people can get into relationships with, date or whatever, and marry, she's still having trouble in that aspect.
There are really great guys out there. I'm not one of those women who's like, I don't know, I don't agree with it. I think there's really great guys out there. I think my thing is, think of how many people I know like me. Not so many. So maybe it'll take some time for me to meet the person that's a match for me.
I remember having
Nah, man, she's a wrap. It's a wrap. She's cooked. I don't care what she says. I don't care what she tells herself. She's cooked. Okay? Let's just keep it real. Let's not run around the mulberry bush. Let's not play lollipop games. She's cooked. All right. If she is 53 years old and she doesn't have anybody now, guys, she's set in her ways. She's not changing for anybody. She's not bowing down, quote unquote. That's what they think it is. They think because to meet somebody in the middle, they think that's considered bowing down, right? But a woman in nature is supposed to be submissive in certain scenarios, in certain ways, right? That's part of her genetic makeup. That's part of her essence, right? And that's what I feel a lot of females have lost. They've lost their fucking way, man. A lot of them, they have. And that's why you see this discrepancy in the dating pool out here now, guys. This is over all races. This is just not the black community. This is every community, that you see. Look at the stats. Women are 70%, or 70% of women are the ones who file for divorce, right? Because when they get fed up or when they have a moment, so to speak, they feel like they have to end it all. And they think that the grass is always greener on the other side, because they tried on a dress last week and they had 52 likes. And they look at that and say, oh, well, because I got these likes, there's guys out here. I know I can still go out here and pull me a guy. So I'm not worried about that. But in reality, Troy, who was in Detroit, and Tommy, who was in New York, these guys are not linking up with you. Okay, just because they gave you a like because of a dress you had on. That has nothing to do with these guys actually getting with you, in a relationship with you, and doing all that. And they're so delusional. They don't see that. They don't understand that, right? And then when they finally get out here in these streets and realize that it's a cesspool, right, and guys aren't, playing these games anymore, then they start thinking, oh, I think I might have messed up. And by then it's too late.
Conversation like years ago, right? And there was a woman that I was talking to who was in a very long relationship, ended up getting out of the relationship for whatever reason, right? And I told her, I'm like, do not get comfortable being single. Keep the mind, if you want to be in a relationship again, you have to keep the mindset for two. You have to keep the mind frame for two. You sleep on one side of the bed because you know that eventually somebody else is going to be on the other side of the bed. Like, you have to have that group thinking kind of mindset. Otherwise, you are going to grow, on your lonesome by yourself into solitude. And then when somebody comes around, you're going to find fault with everything. And that's exactly what I think happened.
And that's the ultimate point. The longer you're by yourself, the less likely you are a good fit for anybody else.
If we go to the root of these conversations, the real root and base of these conversations is the fact that a lot of these women are unwilling to let their ego go.
I found it interesting that she was willing to define her entire life through one lens alone, when every other metric, and I mean every other, she's in shape, she's
But
healthy.
I've done speeches about this.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Now
What?
here they started talking about another woman.
Come on,
I don't
man.
know exactly who it was
Stop.
that they were talking to based off of this clip. But basically, Trevor Noah's like, oh, I find it weird that, she, whoever this woman was, judged her life on the fact that she was unable to garner a relationship and have children, when in every other aspect of her life, she's been amazing. She has, all the things, she's this and that. And again, so what? Just because in one aspect you are great does not mean that's going to translate later on. And just because the attitude and the movements that you have are great for you to be successful in business and successful in all these other ways does not mean that those are the tools that you need in a relationship. Ironically, a lot of the things that are helping you in business are the things that you as a woman have to put down and put to the side to be able to be fruitful in a relationship.
Men are not playing these games anymore, guys. It's catching on like wildfire. Because just like social media is influencing a lot of these women to make these trashy decisions and make these terrible moves, it's also helping men open their eyes and realize that you don't have to take this. You don't need this. You don't have to just say yes to anybody just because she has a box. You have to take pride in yourself. And sometimes you got to let that shit burn to get to the promised land. Sometimes it's going to burn. Right? You might meet somebody that you actually like. You might meet somebody that, okay, I'm really into this person, but your instincts, your gut, everything about her is telling you, bro, but she's always bitching. She's always trying to get me to change. She's trying to get me to go into the Gap and put on these sweaters. I don't like these sweaters. I like my game. She's telling me, oh, you play too many video games. You watch too much anime. You do whatever it is that you like to do. You do too much. You're doing it too much. Whenever they do that, especially early in a relationship, then you know that there's a ticking time bomb waiting to go off there. And you got to let it burn. Sometimes you got to cut that person off and say, as much as I like her, she's not the right one, because I can already see right now our stars don't align. So I got to let it go and let it burn. Sometimes you have to do that. I had to do that. I was dating 3 different women around the time because I was just dating. And my wife was one of those women. And I was dating a chick that I really liked. I liked her, right? But there were certain things about her that I already knew was going to be a problem down the line. See, most men, we're logical. We think, 3, 4 steps ahead, right? Women, they are thinking with their emotions, how they feel right now at this point in time. They don't consider the aftermath of those feelings, right? When women get pissed off, they'll try to do whatever they can to ruin you, right? They'll break your system, they'll tear your game up. They'll try to get you fired at your job. And then 2 days later, 3 days later, when in the rubble's just sitting there and they're sitting there now, they'll tell themselves, damn, man, I messed up. I did that. But guess what? The damage is already done, because they're so hung up on how they feel at that particular time. Men, we can get upset and get mad, but mostly we think ahead, like, okay, well, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that because I know this may happen. That may happen. We're logical. We think about things down the line. And most women, a lot of women don't do that. Okay. It's just from my experience. That's what I've seen. I'm not talking about just my personal experience. I'm talking about mine and people that I know. I have friends that are married. I have friends that aren't married. I've seen so much shit, right? I've seen women just shit and piss all over one of my friends, guys. And he doesn't, when it comes to women, he just doesn't have it, right? And I have so many conversations with him, trying to break it down, explaining to him, bro, don't do this. You shouldn't be doing that. And, he's a grown ass man. I can only tell him as a friend what to do or what I wouldn't do. And then it's up to him, right? And every time, like clockwork, it ends the same way. So sometimes you have to let people learn on their own, and everybody has their own time when they figure it out. And some people, sad to say, never do. And Tracee Ellis Ross seems like one of those people.
I'm going to ask you, ladies, especially you women over 35, what are you going to be willing to give up?
And before we even go any further, okay, you guys already know, if she want to be single, cool, right? If she wants to be single, there's nothing wrong with her saying, like, I want to be single and I don't want to be in a relationship. But the fact that she is vehemently saying that she does want somebody, she does want to be in a relationship, again, that is no longer, I'm so happy and I got it together. That is, I'm saying things because since I'm unable to garner what it is that I want, I have to cope. And in coping, I'm now flipping the script and acting like the other people are the problem because I can't figure out what the problem is.
That's straight. That's what coping is. That's the definition of coping, guys. Anytime you try to spin a narrative and make it seem like this is how I wanted my life. But, you can't lie to yourself. And if you follow the breadcrumbs, I always tell people this, follow the breadcrumbs and it will always lead you where you need to go, guys. Let a woman talk long enough and she will expose everything. She will tell on herself eventually. And most people want to have somebody. Most people want a significant other. Am I sitting here saying that everybody's like that? No, I'm sure there's people out there who would be perfectly fine by themselves and for the rest of their life. I know that there's people out there like that, but I'm talking about the majority, not the exception here. And that's usually what I'm talking about on this channel, guys. When you hear me talking about women and whatever, I'm usually talking about the majority, not the exception. And the majority of people want to at least find somebody or wish they would be able to find somebody to settle down with, have kids or maybe not have kids, but just be in a relationship and somebody that you can be with and you don't have to worry about the bullshit. Okay. Another rule of thumb, if you have to go through your significant other's phone, like, bro, you shouldn't be with that person. That's the last thing you should be worried about in a relationship. When it comes to anything like that, getting in the way of your relationship, guys, these are just signs that, believe it or not, a lot of people don't see. A lot of people are oblivious to it. Like, I've talked to so many people, and just because you understand it or you see it doesn't necessarily mean that they have the same, the same knowledge or the same wherewithal to kind of, weed some of this shit out, which is amazing. But that's just how it is, guys. There's always going to be people who just don't know for whatever reason. They may be a little clueless to certain things. And sometimes you have to hold their hand like a small child and walk them through the wilderness.
That's societal. She's pushing up against a societal norm and a cultural and a patriarchal and misogynistic norm that is, even if you don't know that's what you're fighting against, that's what you're fighting against.
I just think that it's so interesting that especially in the West, that a lot of women are so anti-community and anti-family. Okay, and I'm not saying that that's exactly what it is that she's pushing at this in this conversation, but they're so, they get upset when people talk about the men being the head of the family and the woman being in her rightful space and then having the children and nurturing them and caring for them. They get upset with that because a lot of the women in the West are wanting to compete with the men. They want to be just like them.
The thing that defines your value as a woman.
Yeah.
Who wants you?
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
And I won't subscribe to it. I don't. My life is wonderful. And it does, and I experience loneliness and all of it, and I want a partner. And I might not find one. Well, I don't know.
It's interesting
Yeah,
that
you
there's
do.
a conversation about the fact that society pushes these whole norms. Maybe back in the day, okay? Before your worth was determined on, family, man, whatever the case is. Now, that's not what we see. Okay, there's a strong push that is very evident, right? We hear it in the music, we see it on TV, we see all of the conversations out there of it, the world just revolving around the woman in her selfishness and whatever it is that she wants to do and however it is that she wants to move. Don't have no kids, don't have a man. Literally, Vogue, the magazine, created an article saying that having a boyfriend is embarrassing.
I mean, the design is so crazy because it's always, I want a career. I want to do this. I want to do that. And then when they hit 35, 40, they hit their reverse button and all of a sudden, I want a family. I want to get married. But by then, guys, it's too late. It's too late. There's a reason why women's eggs only last a certain amount of time. Okay? There's a reason for that. Why do you think that is? When you reach a certain age, the older you get, after 30, it's diminishing returns year after year and then the risk gets higher and higher and higher, guys. Once you hit 40, you might as well just, most women, hey, it's a wrap. Okay. This is by design. This is all by design. Now, because anybody who says men and women are the same, they're not. I'll argue that all day long. They're not. They're different. There's a difference. There's a genetic difference and there's just a difference in general, guys. Men can continue to have kids until the day that they die. Women cannot do that. And there's a reason behind that.
So the conversations that they are bringing along are not even the conversations that are being had today. These, in my opinion, are just conversations to bring some kind of truth to the argument so that it has something to stand on. But in actuality, that's not what we're seeing in society. We're seeing the complete opposite.
And I'm not going to make that mean something about me.
She said that she, lonely and she might not find somebody and she does want a relationship.
My life is wonderful. And it does, and I experience loneliness and all of it, and I want a partner. And I might not find one. Well, I don't know.
And then in her inability to garner these relationships, her response to that is, I'm not going to make it mean something about me.
And I'm not going to make that mean something about me.
Basically, if you don't ride the way I want you to ride, then nothing is happening here. Go on and forget it. If you're not on my program, this is from a woman's mindset, a woman's perspective, hers. If you're not on my program, I'm not rocking with you. I'm not going to do it. But that's why she's never been married. That's why she doesn't have children and she never will have children. And she says her life is so great. But it can't be so great if you still want a significant other. She said it herself. She gets lonely. And guys, she's downplaying it. Let's just keep it real. When she's by herself, when she's on the plane, when she's in her car alone, when she's in her bed looking up at the ceiling, these are when these feelings really come crashing down. And this is the stuff that I really would want women to show more of. There are some women who show this. You can go to TikTok and some of these places and they'll show you the true, the true strings behind the curtains. They'll show you what's really going on, like how they really feel, right? They're not okay. And a lot of women like her, because she's high profile and she's this and she's that, they're not going to show you all that. They don't want you to see the scars. They don't want to show you all the strings that are hanging off of these puppets in the back, right? And that's the problem, because they will not admit that it's something that they must do or something that they must fix so that they can become whole and they can actually have a meaningful relationship, guys. And she's not going to admit that. She never will. And that's why she's going to be what she is. And that's why a lot of women are where they're at right now. And then when you have children with a bunch of men, I tell women this all the time, right? Every child that you have, man, your value is just diminished. Okay. Because men look at that and they see low hanging fruit. Women think that, oh, I got a man. Yeah, I got 2 kids that ain't his, and I got a man right now. You're on borrowed time with that man. You know that, right? 9 times out of 10, you're going to be on borrowed time. I'm not saying it doesn't ever happen. Like I said before earlier, guys, I talk about the majority, not the exception. But what I am saying is that the average man who is looking for a woman, a long-term partner or a future wife, is not looking for a woman with children that are not his, okay? When they pick up these women, I've done it in the past when I was younger, when I was a kid, right? I saw a woman, it was low-hanging fruit. I'm trying to get that box. I'm trying to see what that box is like. That's it. So I'm going to play any game that I need to play to get to that box. And then once I get there and that make that happen, guess what? Anything that happens after that I'm not going to deal with or don't want to deal with, I'm out. And that's usually what happens, guys. But women don't understand that. They don't understand it. And you still have women with multiple kids acting like they are the prize, acting like they want to make somebody wait for sex now that you've already had kids, talking about my cookies are worth the wait. You can't make this shit up, man. R.I.P. Kevin Samuels.
Interestingly enough, in career or in business, these women, if they're not getting an acting role, they're going to say, maybe I need to train better. Maybe there's something I need to do, right?
Facts.
If the sales of the hair care company line are failing, the company is going to reevaluate and say, maybe it's our packaging. Maybe it's something that we can do better. The only time that these women do not want to put any work in is when it comes to a relationship. Because in that space, it would mean that there is something that they truly have to address that they do not want to.
And I'm not going to make that mean something about me.
That would mean, again, like I said, at the root, at the base of this conversation is the problem with the ego.
See, women like this get it. That's why I fuck with her. That's why I follow her. And there are other YouTubers out there who have the same philosophies, some of the same, some of the same things aligned or whatever. A lot of women, most women don't get it though. Like, she's a unicorn. This woman here is a unicorn. Most women don't, they don't think like this, guys. They don't understand, or they don't want to understand, put it like that, because they refuse to take accountability. My own mother, God rest her soul. My own mom, she never apologized, guys. Everybody watching this right now, I can tell you straight 110%, my mom never apologized for anything that she did. Never. And my dad told me this a long time ago. He said, all the time I've been married to your mom, she's never apologized. Not one time. She's never apologized and said she was sorry. And my parents, they married, got divorced, and married again, right? And through that whole fiasco, she never apologized for a goddamn thing, okay? Went to the grave like that. All her sisters, right? A lot of her sisters, most of her sisters, same thing. Same thing. Where does this come from? Why is this a thing, right? Why do women refuse to at the very least, meet a man halfway? What is the problem? What is the issue? And this is why the dating scene is cooked. Marriage is cooked for the most part, right? And if we're talking about the black community, please don't get me started on that shit, because that's why a lot of men are going outside of their race and doing the things that they're doing, right? Now, my wife is black, and, but you see it more and more. And I've had experience with other races of women, with white women. I've had experience with those. And I can honestly tell you that if it would have been a white woman or a Hispanic woman that I would have met and treated me like my wife has treated me now, that would be the woman that I would be married to, guys. Because there came a point in my life where I said, look, I'm not looking for color now. I'm looking for who's going to treat me the best. And that's what most men are starting to realize and starting to see now. And that's why you're seeing a lot of men, black men in particular, going outside of their races, because they're having new experiences with other races, and they don't get the same flack. They don't get the same kickback that they're getting from a lot of own black women. It's just what it is, guys. The disrespect, man, sometimes the audacity that some of these women have out here is ridiculous. And women as a whole, don't get it twisted, a lot of them are lost, okay? But in the black community, guys, the shit that I have seen, some of the stuff that I have heard, it is a goddamn shame, man. I don't know if they had daddies. They couldn't have had daddies in their lives, man. They couldn't have, because they wouldn't be moving like this. I can guarantee you.
Right? And so egotistically, they don't even think that they should have a conversation about themselves, or that it should mean something about themselves, because they don't think that they have fault with anything.
Because that's part of who you are.
You're not going to put me in a box and just be a little thing over here. Like, I'm a full planet.
Does that make dating hard?
You're a soulless
I don't
system.
know. Yeah, I'm a solar system.
You heard in the beginning of the conversation, she's a solar system, she's a planet.
I mean, look at that. That's simp talk, man. That African dude in the chair, I don't know who he is, but like, you're a solar system. Like, come on, man. Stop the cap. Just stop trying to, burst up, lift up her ego. Like, that's all you're doing. And that's what I'm saying. This is crippling women like this. All they did was cripple her even more, right? By not just keeping it real and coming out and keeping it real with her and telling her, look, man, maybe you should look at this. Maybe you should look at that. They're not going to say that because she's a guest on the show and this is this. They don't want to, rock any boats. Like, I get sick of that, man. Just keep it real. We need more people to just keep it real. And if more people did that shit, man, I promise you, I think it could change a lot of things, man, in the dating scene, in the dating world, guys. I really do believe so. But now you're starting to just see it. Men are just saying, you know what, fuck it, man. I'm done. I'm not doing it. That's why you see all of these women complaining about these events that they plan and no men are showing the fuck up. Why? Men aren't finna pay. I'm not paying you guys no money. You know what I'm saying? To come up here just to get turned down and clowned. I know how a lot of you women are, because as soon as you see something you don't like, if I'm not 6 feet tall, if my hairline ain't right, if you don't like what I got on, it's going to be some shit. And most women, like I said, they won't just say, okay, you're just not my type. A lot of women will actually literally put you down, talk shit to you, right? And all you're trying to do is, walk up to her and try to, get to know somebody, but they'll shit on you. It won't just be a no thank you or I'm okay. No, they got to go outside of their way to insult you, to make themselves feel like they're special, right? Or you're beneath them, right? And that's in the culture as well. That's woven into the culture as well. So who's going to show up for that shit? Men won't even show up to these events if it's free for them. There's been events and there's been instances where men don't even show up if it's free. Yeah, you can come free. Come one, come all. They don't even show up to that. It's not even worth their time getting out the house. They rather not. Why do you think that is? Men are getting tired of this shit, and I applaud them for it too. Because what's going on in the world right now, guys? It's crazy out here, man. It's a cesspool.
And anybody who can't get with it, they're the problem.
The other thing is on Girlfriends, I talk about this all the time, but on Girlfriends for 8 years, 173 episodes, I was a successful woman who couldn't find a partner and was waiting to be chosen.
If you guys never watched that show, basically exactly what she, is experiencing in her real life is exactly what she experienced on said TV show Girlfriends, right? And instead of being reflective of that and saying, you know what, let me go back to that character and see what the issue was. What was her priorities? What was the problems that she had? She ended up actually mirroring the same exact behavior and still not seeing the bigger picture. On that TV show, she prioritized her friends, her career. She prioritized doing all of the things, but she never prioritized the work on herself to foster a good relationship. She never prioritized that.
And I didn't realize it, but when I left the show, I have spent years, and I talk publicly about it now because I didn't realize how much I had spent years waiting to be chosen.
Waiting to be chosen, but not doing any of the work to be chosen. Waiting to be chosen, but not being in places or around certain, aspects of conversations so that you can gain further knowledge to be chosen.
Let's keep it real. She's had plenty of opportunities in her life, okay? I'm sure there's been men who have approached her who tried to, court her, take her out, and become something or make it into something. And for whatever reason, she chose somebody else, or she chose not to be with that guy. Let's just be honest, man. A lot of women have men in their phones right now that they could call if they needed something, right? But the problem with that is these men aren't who they want. Right? These are men who, they'll settle for, but these aren't men who they actually want, they actually desire, right? Because the ones that they actually want or desire, guess what? They don't want them.
Like waiting to be chosen, but standing there at full capacity and not willing to compromise, shape, or bend. And I think that's a deeper conversation that we should be having, because it's a lot of women are doing it. And why is it all the time that the women who are super successful, that the women who are successful in business, that have a lot of the things going on are having these problems? It's because it's not about what you can amass. It's about what you can, be. How you can bend. Are you moldable? Can you compromise?
And I started to realize, I'm like, I'm the chooser. I can choose my partner. And I can choose. I don't have to sit around being a prize, making a life so that I get chosen. I'm also the person looking for a partner.
I don't have to sit around being a prize, but never being chosen is very interesting. That's a very interesting, contradictory way of thinking, right? I don't have to sit here just being the prize, waiting to be chosen.
Let me just say this. This is kind of like on a side tangent, you know, watching her talk, like watching this young lady talk. Women who think like this, guys, I don't know who's watching this right now. If you're a man, if you're a woman, you know what's going on. But as a man, just a natural instinct that I'm getting off of listening to this woman talk, guys, this is sexy, man. I'm gonna keep it real. This is some sexy ass shit right here. This woman's already cute. I think we can all agree to that at least, right? But listening to her speak, listening to her talk, guys, this is very, very sexy. It's almost like it's an aura that is, you know, radiating off of her. I can feel her. I can damn near feel her soul glowing, right? I'm not trying to be funny here. I'm being honest, guys. And this is what men are looking for, right? I'm telling you, this is what men are looking for. We want a woman who at least just understands, right? And understands that we're just simple creatures who are just trying to, you know, do our day to day. We're not complicated, guys. Women tend to make shit more complicated than it needs to be. And half the time that is why they end up where they're at.
Because when men see a prize, they wife the prize, they cuff the prize, they lock down the prize because they realize that this is a prize. There has to be more to these conversations. I would love to know the people who she's dated in the past. I would love to hear their interpretations of dating her and experiencing her and how that goes for them. Because a lot of times these women have the conversation and they tell it in a way that they're always the victim, or, you know, they're never been the problem, or they're not the problem. I would love to hear the people who have been in relationships with her and how they see the way that she goes about relationships.
Let's just keep it real. If she really wanted to be with somebody, she would be with somebody by now, guys. And what women tend to do, I do content like this all the time. So I've seen countless videos of women on TikTok and women on Instagram and just telling their stories. And the one thing I always notice about women when they're, you know, posting is you're never going to hear the guy's side of the story. And another thing I notice about women, if you did something wrong to a woman, they're going to tell on you. They're going to show it. They're going to snitch on you. They're not going to leave nothing out. If you went upside a woman's head or whatever, and she's doing, you know, a TikTok video or Instagram video, guys, she's going to tell you everything. He hit me upside my head. He kicked me. He threw water on me. They're going to let it be known, right? But most of these women, they never say any of that. They paint their picture. They paint their perfect picture for you, right? But they never say, you know, anything about the guy. And that's how I know the guy didn't really do anything. That's how I know the woman most probably what happened is she got upset about something, got very emotional about something, and decided to concoct this story right in her mind. And she wants to gain sympathy to the other women who are out there like her. That's what I've discovered after, you know, the last couple of years of just watching content, finding content, looking for stuff, right, to do videos on. This is what I saw. This is what I've known. Because if you always go back and listen to both sides, if you get both sides of the story, you're going to find cracks in that armor, and you're going to be able to really understand, oh, okay, I see what really happened here. This is not how it went down. This is what happened in your head and in your mind, what went down, guys. There's got to be some sort of levity to it. There's got to be some reason why a lot of these women end up single, especially the ones with multiple kids, multiple daddies, and all this type of stuff, guys. But they're not going to say, oh, I made a mistake in choosing this guy or choosing this guy. Okay, fool me once. But then if you got another baby daddy or another baby daddy, and you're blaming the men, you're blaming the guys that you chose after that, stop the cap. Just stop it.
Having children. And I mean, not everywhere, but that is
for the most part. No, it is.
And finding a partner. I mean, and then it's a thing that people ask you all the time. And I'm like, oh my God, why are we so interested in this?
I think one of the reasons why people are so interested in this whole thing with Tracee Ellis Ross is, one, I mean, she's always talking about it. She's become like the spokesperson of, oh, you can be happy and, single in your 50s and stuff like that. Like, people can, they kind of look at her in that way.
I've done speeches about this.
Like, it's supposed to be a man who chooses, right, to make you his wife, to make you this. And a lot of her conversation is, well, I'm the chooser too. Well, I'm the boss too. Well, I got the money too. Well, I'm this too. if you are trying to get into a relationship with a man and you are already in the man seat, what is that leaving open for you? That's leaving open the options for other women. That's leaving open the options for feminized men, which you don't want, right? Which then you'll have a problem with and call him names or whatever the case is. And it's like, but if you're in the seat, how can that role be filled? It's common sense.
It's common sense, but that's something that most women aren't equipped to deal with, guys. I think a lot of us men have experienced this in our past, and we can't never figure it out. We always try to figure it out. But one thing I learned is you can't figure it out. There's no rhyme or reason to why they think the way that they do. They just are. That's just what it is. And it took years for me to weave out, saying all the weeds and really understand who I was and find out, okay, I've dated a lot of different women, ratchet, whatever you want to call it. I've been there, done that. Right. And when I realized what I wanted out of a woman, that's when everything became clear. Everything, the light bulb just came on like boom. Then I started just looking for shit, finding shit, certain shit would pop up. And I was like, oh, if I see that, boom, nope, that's a red flag. Boom, nope, this is a red flag. Boom, nope. And you just learn on the fly sometimes. It's just how it is, right? But there's something that a lot of women now universally are doing. And I blame that on the culture. I always say it's the culture because they have a lot of the same thoughts, guys. It's almost like it's popular to do. It's popular to insult men for trying. If you're not attracted to them, it's popular to insult the man instead of just turning them down and being polite with it, right? That's a popular thing. They'll jump on Instagram and say, girl, this guy just came up to me and he was busted and he was short and he was chubby and he came up here and I can't believe it. He fixed his mouth to say, to come up to me. Am I ugly? Because damn, you know what I'm saying? He was so ugly. I had to question myself, why would he fix his mouth to even come up to me looking the way he looked? I mean, I literally saw a video with a woman saying exactly what I just said right here and went and had to go show the world and tell the world, thinking that she was doing something, thinking that she was talking about something and put it on social media, guys. This is what a lot of these women are out here doing. And then they wonder why they get handled or they get something done to them, right? Not saying that shit is right, but at the same time, you cannot control how somebody responds to you when you do something like that. Oh, it was just words. Well, you insulted a man and you don't know what he was going through. You don't know what happened and you chose to do that. So you can't be, perplexed on, oh, he pulled out, a knife or he pushed me to the ground, right? You cannot dictate what somebody else is how they're going to react to you, man. You can't. That's why it's best to just be respectful at all times. Even if you're not into somebody, even if you're not attracted to them, whatever it may be, there's a way you deal with that shit. There's a way you handle that. You should feel blessed that you even have guys coming up to you and trying to, introduce themselves, maybe get to know you or whatnot. But a lot of women don't understand that, guys. You're running out of time. You're hitting the wall. And some women refuse to accept that. Like Tracee Ellis Ross, look at her picture, right? All I see is a woman who's hitting the wall right now. She's hit the wall, right? And now she's scrambling. She doesn't know where to turn. There's really nowhere for her to turn because her own worst enemy is her own self. And that's something she's never going to be able to defeat. If she hasn't done it now, guys, she's not going to do it later. And that's what I'm trying to get people to understand. A lot of the time, women are their own worst enemies and they refuse to accept it. They refuse to acknowledge it. And anyone who doesn't acknowledge that, then you're doomed. It's a wrap already because nobody's going to be able to feel that. Nobody's going to be able to come between that. Like you got to cancel. You got to conquer that. That's something that you have to deal with. And that's why we have an epidemic right now going on in the dating scene.
I use the battery analogy all the time. If you put a battery in a space in the wrong way, yes, there are two batteries in the remote, but it will not turn on. Everything has to have order.
A lot of men my age are steeped in a toxic masculinity and have been raised in a culture where there is a particular way that a relationship looks.
And I won't subscribe to it. I don't. My life is wonderful.
And that's why your ass is by yourself. That's exactly why you're by yourself, because you refuse to embrace what makes you a woman. Part of what makes you a woman is the submissiveness, guys. We're different creatures. That's how it's supposed to be. That's how it's supposed to be. Okay? Nobody's telling you to, oh, if I tell you to do something, you just go do it. That's not what that means, guys. That's not what that means. Put it like this. My wife, when me and her, when it's time to make a decision about the whole family, I get final say in that. You know why I get final say in that? Because my wife is smart enough to understand that when it comes down to the welfare of the whole family, that I know what's best for the family. That is basically what that is. Nothing more, nothing less. Okay. My wife understands that sometimes some of her decisions are irrational. And, you know, she understands that. She's smart enough to at least understand that about herself, right? That's having knowledge of self, guys. That's what that means. And her knowing that, she knows that when it's time to make certain decisions, the ball is in my court and I'm going to make the final say. And I'm doing what's best for the whole nucleus of the family. And these are things that a lot of women like her, Tracee Ellis Ross, will fight you tooth and nail on. They refuse to give a man that decision. Something as small and minute as that it could be the difference of them being, you know, happily married for the rest of their fucking life. She could have had children. She could have had, you know, a bustling family. But now you see, the biggest regret is looking down, looking at your life and really seeing what you accomplished, because all the money, all these fucking accolades that you have, they mean fucking nothing. They mean nothing now. This shit is worthless. And the older you get, you start realizing that shit. You start realizing that money is just money. Yes, we all like it and we would all like to have it. But the older you get, you start realizing there's certain things in life that matter more. A legacy, watching your kids grow up. You know what I mean? Smelling their breath as a baby and watching them grow. Simple shit like that, right? When I look at my daughter, walk around in her little tidy whities, getting ready for school, right? Things like that, guys, those are priceless. You're not going to get that shit. That's just priceless shit. Watching your babies grow up, having a family, being happy. No marriage is perfect. I'll be the first one to fucking tell you that, right? I have a $120, you know, Japanese futon because of that. When I get pissed at my wife and we have our little quarrels, so to speak, I come into the office where I'm at now, and this is where I, you know, dwell, right, for a day or two. And then guess what? After that, after we've cooled off, we go have a conversation and we squash it, and we're cool again. That's what part of being married is about. It's not about having an issue or having a fight like that and then saying, "Oh, you know what? I'm going to divorce now." And looking at their Instagram and saying, you know, I got 22 likes. I just put on this dress. I got 22 likes. I don't need him. I don't need that. I can go find somebody else. That's where we're at now in society when it comes to dating. Nobody understands what marriage is. Nobody understands what a relationship means, guys. Right? They don't think about the kids and all of this, because the truth be told, you'd probably be over that fight. A woman would be over that fight a week or two later and you'd be cool. Why break up the family? Why hurt your children? Why put them through this? Why do all this? Because you felt a certain way for a certain small amount of time on a random Tuesday. But that's where we are, guys. That's where we're at in a society today. That's what most people are fucking doing, right? Nobody wants to go into the room and into their room, into their space and chill for a day or two and then come back and you know, apologize and make everything better. It's sad.
And it does, and I experience loneliness and all of it, and I want a partner. And I might not find one. Well, I don't know.
But like, there's something deeper rooted that is causing the issue in this situation. And again, in my opinion, I do believe it has something to do with an ego. I do. And the only reason I believe that is because there's a plethora of women who have been in these seats, and they walk around with this air of themselves of like, well, I'm me.
Yeah.
So since I'm me, then everybody should just see me as me. And if you think I need to change anything about me, then you're the problem. And
Facts.
People who have been in long-term relationships, marriages, all know that the name of the game is bending. The name of the game is compromise. The name of the game in relationships is change. Change so that you can fit the mold that the two of you guys create. It's not gonna. It would never work if it's one person bending, or if you feel like the only person that needs to bend is the opposite person.
Mm-hmm. Facts.
I like some of you guys think about this in the comment section down below. I love.
Yeah, man, that's the end of the video. I mean, that's the end of the video, guys. I see it all the time, man. I see it all the time. I'm smiling because it's just so funny, because this is just the beginning. It's never going. I don't think it's going to end. I'm scared it's never going to end. I'm scared for my children. That's really what it is. Like, yo, my sisters, right? I got 3 younger sisters who are all highly educated and, You know, they got all their accolades, right? They got great jobs and all of this shit. But you know what they don't have? They don't have a man. They don't. And will they ever? I honestly could tell you, I don't think so, man. I don't think, if you told me right now and asked me today, do you think any of your sisters would get married? I would honestly tell you, I don't think so. I don't think so. They've all been raised within this culture of right now. Could the culture change over time? And you know, by the time my daughter reaches dating age and all that, could that change some? Yeah, it could. But I don't know, man. I don't know, because it's everywhere. It's in the music. It's in, you know, social media. It's in the movies and TV. I mean, you got women watching these movies and these shows, and they're taking their, you know, their desires off of what they see on the screen, and they're trying to, you know, manifest it in real time, in real life. And that's not real. It's not real. Most men don't act the way that they see them in these movies and on these TV shows. That's not how it works. You know what I'm saying? It's a facade. And they actually believe that shit. Like that's why do you think women watch all these fucking shows, these Lifetime movies and these black movies, all this stuff that they watch? Why do you think they watch this stuff so much and they consume all this? Because they think that this is a reality for them, right? Even that woman with 3 kids by 2 different baby daddies sitting at home watching these movies, she truly believes that there's a guy out there that is going to come in and sweep me off my feet, and he's going to become my husband, and he's going to take, you know, over as, you know, my kid's father, and he's going to do all this. Guys, it's never going to happen. It's not going to happen. And nobody's telling her this. Or when they do, she goes so hard against the grain that she buries everything in her path, everything in her fucking wake, right? Because they don't want to hear that shit. They don't want to hear the truth. Because you know what? It's too much of, if they hear the truth, they have to change something. If they hear the truth, they have to adjust something within their own life. They have to really look at themselves in the mirror and make some decisions. And most women do not want to do that, guys. They'll do everything else. They'll go to work. They'll listen to their boss. They'll do everything else they need to do. But when it comes to submitting to a man, oh, hell no. Never that. Never that. They won't do that. It's amazing. It blows my mind. Now, there's some women out there, like I said, there are exceptions to every rule. And there are the ones that are, and those are the ones that are getting men. Those are the ones that are getting married. And that is why I got married to who I am with now. Right? And she's a black woman, and she's submissive, and she has all the main traits that, you know, a man would look for in a woman, right? If you want to consider, you know, marriage with somebody, right? She didn't have any kids, you know, before she met me. And, you know, she's got a decent head on her shoulders, right? She's intelligent, right? She's submissive. Okay. These are traits that, you know, men are looking for when they're trying to find women, right? She didn't care about, you know, how much money I had. That's the last thing that was on her mind. She never brought that up, because she liked me, right? She really, 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 really liked me. And that's how you know when they do. You know when you have a woman who is really, 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 really into you. When you get sick, they bring you medicine, right? Whatever they can do to appease you and try to make you happy, just because they want to be in your presence, they just want to spend time with you, right? That's what they do. All this other shit, man, that you hear these women talking about, guys, that's all superficial shit, right? And so whenever you hear it, men are hearing it now, and they're starting to understand, like, oh man, that's a wrap. And they're walking away. And then the problem is now the women continue to live that lifestyle, or continue to try to portray that lifestyle, until they wake up one day at 42 years old with nothing to show for it. And by then it's too fucking late. And Tracee Ellis Ross is now 53, never been married, and she's way past having kids, guys. Now, I'm sure she's got money, and she could probably do some crazy shit, like, you know, hire a surrogate or whatever, if she really wanted to go that direction. But I don't think she even wants to do that, right? I don't think so. I think it's just her telling herself that it's okay that I haven't done anything real with my life, because in her eyes, she's done a lot of things. She's a great actor. You know, she's got a bustling career, right? In her eyes, that's what, you know, success is. But the older you get, and I think she knows this too. She's not going to admit this shit. But I think that true success is what you are able to leave behind when you're not here, when you're gone. She has nothing to leave behind. She has no kids. She has nothing to leave behind, guys. No legacy. When she's gone, right? Who are you going to give that stuff to that you worked for to make? It's going to nobody. Maybe a distant relative or something like that, but it's not going to a son, a daughter. It's not going to any grandkids, none of that type of stuff, right? And I think she knows that. And like I said, once you age, once you get older, you really start to look at shit differently. I can't explain it. It's just something that happens. And I think anybody who's older will tell you the same shit. And it's almost by design, right? When you're young, you're just not supposed to see that. You're just not supposed to have that foresight. I think it's just made that way. And then when you do, if you do make it to that age or whatever, you start, it's just like that third eye just opens up, boom, it unlocks, and you start seeing shit, and you start really observing and really knowing and learning what really is important in the life, right? When you're a kid, oh, I want to be successful, I want to be a millionaire, I want to, I'm chasing a bag, I'm doing that. You can still do all that. But the older you get, you start realizing that, man, this shit don't matter like I thought it did. My dad says that shit all the time. He's very successful, but he don't give a damn about that. He'll tell me right now, I don't give a damn about none of this shit, man. I just want to see my kids grow and my grandkids. And that's the shit that I like. I like to sit in the house and watch everybody who came from my nuts running around the house. Right. And that's true. That's real shit. That's real shit. And believe it or not, and whatever this Tracee tells you, okay, she wants that shit too, but she can't have it. I guarantee you she probably has a good cry every now and then, like in the corner somewhere where nobody can see her, because those days have passed her by. She's never going to get that. And if she was more honest with herself, and most importantly, more honest with people who watch her, then I think the world would be a better place. Because if women did that, I think that would show other women like, yo, this shit is real out here. I'm slipping. I'm fucking up. I need to lock in. I was looking at everything the wrong way. I need to fix my ways. I need to examine myself, make sure I'm good. Right. And then that would in turn make it possible for her to actually meet somebody and come together and make a nucleus, make a family, right? But that's what we don't have now. We don't have that. We have people who are, going to be in denial, who are going to fight you tooth and nail on their beliefs, even though they're wrong or not right. And as a result, this is what you got. So I don't know what to say, man. The video's over with. I want to thank everybody for watching the stream. I could talk about this shit all day. I'm not even gonna lie to you, but yeah. I'm usually streaming this late, so if you guys want to check me out, I usually stream anywhere from 1:30 in the morning. I think it's CMT, CST. I can't remember the time zone, but around 1:30 in the morning. I'm in Dallas, so you can kind of put that together. But I usually stream about this. I got some other stuff I'm going to be streaming here tomorrow. I got some Marcellus Wallace stuff I want to talk about. His wife, she's a character, and going to be breaking that down. So yeah, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, hey, I appreciate it. Go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button, guys. If you like content like this, there's a shit ton of it on this channel. Yeah, man, I just started doing live streams, so I'm going to continue to just, do it more often. 2 or 3 times a week at least. So I'm going to get up out of here. Thank everybody for coming. And I will see everybody, guys, in the